How are your New Year's resolutions going? This episode is released on January 7th, 2025. So at the very least, it's been a week. Maybe you're listening to this in mid-February or late March, or hell, maybe it's almost New Year's again. The fact of the matter is, the farther we get from January 1st, the less likely you are to still be sticking to those New Year's goals and resolutions. Statistically speaking, by February, nearly half of all people will have already given up on their goals. And overall, less than 10% of people will say that they actually achieve what they set out to when the New Year's ball dropped. The thing is, it doesn't have to be this way. That doesn't have to be you. You can be one of the 10% who succeeds. And if enough people implement the tips that I'm going to give you in this episode, we can raise that number so that more than 1 in 10 people are sticking to their goals and building the lives of their dreams. Welcome to Change Made Easy. Changing your habits, routines, and behaviors is hard. We make it easy. I'm Paul, and I help anyone who's feeling stuck and stagnant create positive change in their health, wealth, and relationships that last forever. It's that easy. Statista, one of the world's top data and analytics firms, says, while 50% of resolutions focus on health, only 8% of those are maintained by the end of the year. And as I say to my clients often, this stuff is too important for you to not figure out. Your health, your wealth, your relationships, these are the pillars that a fulfilling life are built on. So today, I'm going to outline 6 keys that if you follow will make sure your New Year's resolutions stick around this week, next week, and beyond. And if you're not the New Year's resolution type, that's fine, don't worry. All of this advice can be used for any goal setting in any area. These are the foundational building blocks of habit formation, and when you build it right, you'll build it once. So let's get started. You already heard some of the sobering statistics around New Year's resolutions I mentioned in the intro. But the reality is, this is not just New Year's resolutions. The same thing can be said for any and all goal setting in general. The fact is, most people don't achieve their goals. Period. I mean, it's sad, but it's true. How many people do you know that have been working on losing the same 15 pounds for nearly as many years? Or who have canceled more gym memberships than workouts than they've completed? How many people do you know who are always trying to get their finances under control, but every year they're more and more in the red? Obviously, I can go on. And maybe in some areas, this person is you. It's definitely been me in the past. And that's because no matter what, New Year's resolutions, new habits, new routines, new goals, they all hinge on one thing: change. And change is hard. Crazy, I know. But lucky for you, you're here, and we make it easy. So today, I'm going to go over the 6 keys that make sticking to your resolution easy. But before I start, I have one bonus pre-step. Because when it comes to making your New Year's resolutions, something that I need you to understand is that it's a New Year's resolution and not shuns, meaning it's singular, no S. And again, this is not just for resolutions, this is for goals as well. When you are setting goals, you should be thinking about a goal, not multiple goals. The key is working on one thing at a time. You focus on one goal, you knock it down, and then you start on the next one. Because fractured attention will lead you nowhere. As the old proverb goes, the man who chases 2 rabbits catches none. Whenever I speak to a new client, no matter what time of year, I always highlight what I've seen that holds people back all the time, a phenomenon that I call the New Year's resolution effect. Because theoretically, let's assume it's January 1st. What do people say? They go, new year, new me, time for a change. I'm going to eat healthy, cut out carbs. I'm going to stop drinking alcohol, sign up for the gym, stop scrolling, start running, start getting 10,000 steps, start cooking, no more Uber Eats, yada, yada. It just keeps going. So you get the point. And while it sounds ambitious, all of this sounds good, it's exactly that ambition that sets those people up for failure. I call this drinking through a fire hose. I am so pumped to tell you about my partnership with My Body Tutor. My Body Tutor is the world's leading nutrition coaching platform that helps people find their healthy weight and keep it forever through sustainable habit change. If you listen to this show, you know that we do not suffer from a lack of information. Most people know what they need to change. The problem is actually sticking to it long enough to see results. When it comes to diet, exercise, and getting in shape, My Body Tutor solves this problem by giving you customized plans, one-on-one coaching, and daily accountability. As a bonus for you, they are offering $50 off your first month. What makes My Body Tutor so unique is they offer daily accountability with a real human coach. That's someone to check in with you, talk to, plan with, someone who can help you when things are going hard. It's not ChatGPT, it's not some algorithm. This is a real human. I know because I'm one of them. I have been working with My Body Tutor as one of their tutors since 2020. With so much nonsense and misinformation and just bad actors out in the health and wellness space, My Body Tutor is helping people the real way. They are changing lives. I've seen it firsthand, and I'm honored to be a part of it. Check out mybodytutor.com, where you can see hundreds of testimonials and reviews. And remember, listeners of this show get $50 off their first month. Just click the link in the show notes or go to mybodytutor.com and tell them Paul from Change Made Easy sent you in your intake questionnaire, and you'll automatically get a huge discount. On top of that, they offer a money-back, risk-free guarantee. So this is really a no-brainer. And like I said, I really do work for them. So if you've ever wanted to work with me personally, you can even request to have me as your body tutor. How cool would that be? Once again, just say Paul sent you and get $50 off your first month, start with no risk, and see how the power of a coach with daily accountability can literally change your life. You're trying to do too much all at once. And remember the rule that change is hard. And your brain will always push back against discomfort. So when you try to implement too much change at once, you psychologically push back against it. So while focusing on just one thing might feel like you're not doing enough, it's better to focus on one thing and actually get it done than to try to fracture your attention on a ton of things and not be able to follow through in the long run. So that's step 0, because it comes before you start, when you're making the commitment, when you're making the goal. And there's a chance that you've already committed to a New Year's resolution. Not that you can't walk it back, but now where do we go from here? So to make achieving your resolutions and goals easy, key number 1 is to stop fantasizing about the outcome that you're trying to achieve. And I know a lot of people talk about vision boards and visualizing and all that, but studies have shown that fantasizing about the goal, about the end result, can actually be demotivating and cause you to stop working towards that goal. And that's because when you fantasize too vividly, it can potentially trigger the part of your brain that activates when you actually get the result. Because remember, thoughts are just thoughts. Sometimes your brain can't tell the difference between a visualization, you visualizing the result, and the reality of you actually getting it. So this is why visualization can be so powerful, but it's also why fantasizing too much will keep you stuck. So instead, don't fantasize and visualize about the outcome, about the ultimate goal, but instead think about the challenges that will lie between where you are now and where you want to be in the future. So that means instead of fantasizing about your multi-million-dollar business and riding jet skis all day once you're a big success, when those thoughts pop up, ask yourself, what could get in the way of me achieving this? What is going to stop me from getting that goal? Because A, that will bring you back down to earth. But then it also allows you to preemptively plan for the challenges that are inevitably coming, and you will be better equipped to handle them when they do. So now your vision casting is preparing you for struggle, which is, again, inevitable and unavoidable and a part of your journey of change, rather than just lulling you into a false sense of complacency. Key 2 is to make a plan, which might sound obvious, but statistics show that it's not, and most people aren't very good at planning. Far too often, people think that just setting a goal or saying their resolution is enough, and that somehow that helps. But let me set the record straight for you right here, right now. That does not help. Setting a goal without a plan of action is worth literally nothing. If anything, it's actually a negative. It's harming you because, going off of the point I just made, it can trick your brain into a false sense of complacency. When you just set a goal and feel good about that, you feel like you've done something simply by setting the goal and then end up doing less because you feel like you checked that box. So if you say something like, I want to be healthier this year, that really doesn't mean anything. Again, it might make you feel like, well, I've made a commitment to my health, but until you take the necessary action, you have done nothing. So I want you to tell me in a step-by-step process, what does it mean for you to be healthier this year? And how will you get there? Lay out a specific roadmap that you can follow. So if you haven't done that yet for your resolution, that's where you start. Key number 3 is to make it easy. That may not be a surprise since you're here and that's the name of the show, but I will die on this hill. If a goal is too complex, too convoluted, too hard, it is only a matter of time until you quit. This might work for short-term goals or challenges. If you have a work project that has an end date 3 months from now, then yeah, it's perfectly reasonable to push yourself and just muscle through the hard times. But when you're talking about lifestyle change, when you're talking about changing your diet, changing your exercise, changing your sleep, things that happen all the time and need to last forever, the route to success is not to try to force yourself through the hardest challenge just because it's hard. Instead, the secret sauce is finding the easiest route to success that takes the stress and pressure off so that you can keep showing up. And consistency is what wins. And the way to be consistent is with less pressure and not more. For example, imagine you want to lose weight. Everyone will lose weight if they eat 1,000 calories a day. But you'd also be starving yourself. You'd have low energy. You'd probably hate your life. And that is a challenging route to long-term success because you're constantly going to have cravings. You're constantly hating the bland food you're eating. And you're feeling like crap every step of the way. But what if you could lose weight eating 2,500 calories a day? I mean, it might be slower than the 1,000 calorie route, but it also wouldn't feel so crappy. And you'd be able to keep it up for much longer, maybe even forever. And that's how you create real change. The fourth key to stick to your resolutions is addition and not subtraction. A lot of resolutions and goals tend to be centered around what not to do, or what you want to do less of, or cut out entirely. I want to scroll less, eat less processed sugar, no more drinking. And these are all good goals. They probably would have a net positive impact if you implemented them successfully and stuck to it. But the thing you miss when you set goals like this is that when you take something away, it creates a void, a vacuum. Everything that you do takes some of your time. So when you stop doing something that was taking your time and attention, you are left with an excess of those things. And if you don't know exactly what you will fill that void with, you'll often find yourself slipping back into your old ways. Because you might naturally assume, well, if I'm not spending so much time on my phone, then I'll have time to go to the gym. And in theory, yes, but it doesn't automatically play out like that. Once you take something away, you do have more time, but that doesn't inherently mean that you'll just insert a positive habit there unless that is specifically what you've already planned. You need to have a specific action plan for exactly what you will swap in for what you're swapping out. So when I wanted to scroll less, I downloaded an app that blocks out the social media on my phone during the day. But that can be overridden. If I really want to pop onto Instagram or TikTok, I can't. So I also had to figure out, what will I do in those moments when previously I would have mindlessly scrolled for 5 or 10 minutes, maybe when I'm waiting in line in the store or I'm on the subway. Because obviously it would be swell if I could just sit with my own thoughts, but let's be real here, I'm not a monk. So to give myself a fighting chance against Zuckerberg and TikTok and the powers that be, I put Instagram and TikTok into this app and put it into a hidden folder that needs a password to open. So I created a barrier towards opening that thing. But again, to give myself something to do in that void, I downloaded a chess app and Duolingo, and I put those right on my homepage. So now when I am bored and I grab my phone instinctively, instead of going to Instagram or TikTok, I either open up the chess app or the language app, and I have a more productive habit that I've replaced my negative habit with. But if I had stopped at just saying, I'm going to take away TikTok and Instagram, I would have found myself just saying, screw this password and opening the app anyway, because I had nothing better to do. And I know that from experience because I've done it. So the fifth key is to focus on the external and not the internal. And this sounds backwards when we're talking about goal setting. And this is counter to a lot of common knowledge, because a lot of people think that you can't control the world around you. All you can do is worry about yourself. So the logic goes that you focus on you because that's all you can control, which theoretically makes sense, except that you actually have far less control over your internal self than you actually realize or like to admit. So here's how we can prove this. Let's do an experiment. Right now, wherever you're sitting or standing, whatever you're doing, I want you to concentrate real hard, as hard as you can, and decrease the rate of your blood flow by 20%. Go ahead, do it now. Can you? Okay, how about right now, make yourself motivated. Well, obviously you can't do that. If you could, you probably would have conquered the world already. Well, how about can you decide to make your memory better? Can you improve your concentration? Can you make yourself better at time management? No, you probably just can't do any of that. Even though these things are specifically and solely controlled by you inside of your head, only by your mind. So clearly, you have less control and say-so than you might logically assume, since you can't just control everything. There's a lot that you can't control, even if it is inside your head. Conversely, though, a lot of stuff outside of you can be controlled. If you set an alarm on your phone, it's set. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. If you take the TV out of your bedroom, then you can't watch TV in your bedroom. If you turn off your Wi-Fi, then you have no internet. Now, obviously, I know that you could watch TV on your tablet or you could stream with the internet that comes on your phone. I understand that there are workarounds for these things, but the point remains. Your best bet toward making your goals and resolutions stick is to focus on controlling the things outside of you that you can control. If you're a longtime listener, you know I talk a lot about controlling your environment, and that's exactly what this is. Rather than trying to rely on willpower, which is internal and actually outside of your control, simply change your external environment to make willpower less necessary, which is inside of your control. So the last key, key 6, this might be a little extreme for some people, but it has been proven to work, and it's definitely a step that's worth taking if you're really committed, is using what's called a commitment device. A commitment device is just a fancy way of saying to make the stakes real. Because your resolutions would be nice to keep, but what happens if you don't? If you don't lose the weight, if you don't read 10 books, if you don't do whatever it is you promised yourself you would do, nothing really happens. You might be mad at yourself, you might be a little disappointed, but if that were enough to motivate you to act, then you would have done it already. So a commitment device is something that puts your actual skin in the game, quite literally. And the classic example of this is writing a check to a charity or an organization that you hate, or maybe a political opponent that you really oppose. And then you put that check in an envelope and you give it to a friend, and you tell them that if you don't achieve your goal by an agreed upon date, that they mail that check to your enemy. And now that is real commitment, because you know if you don't work towards your goal, that organization, that cause that you really don't agree with is going to get your hard-earned money. So now you not only have a goal, but there are actual consequences if you do not follow through on that goal. And going back to key 5, this is a great example of getting outside of yourself, forcing yourself to act through an external stimulus rather than hoping that you'll be motivated magically. And you know what? As an added bonus, building on the last 2 keys, I will throw one more thing at you. And the easiest, best, most proven, most effective way to get outside of yourself for willpower and motivation is simply to rely on others. Whatever your resolution is, get around other people who are working towards the same thing or similar goals. A rising tide raises all ships. I say this all the time. You are the sum of the people you spend the most time with. So if you want to do better, you should be hanging out with people who also want to do better. Just makes sense. All right, so to recap, my 6 keys to make achieving all of your resolutions and goals easy, plus 2 bonuses. First, have a single focus. Remember, it is priority, not priorities. Resolution, goal, no S. The first key, stop fantasizing about the outcome, as that can be demotivating, and instead visualize challenges and how you'll overcome them. Key 2, have a step-by-step plan, not just a vague vision or goal. Key 3, make it easy. Don't just try to do it the hardest way. It's already going to be hard. So make it as easy as you can to be consistent. Key 4, focus on addition, not subtraction. What will you fill the void with when you get rid of negative habits? And key 5 is to focus on controlling your external environment instead of only trying to control your uncontrollable mind. And the 6th key is use a commitment device to force yourself to put skin in the game. And as an added bonus, get yourself around people who are actively working on the same goals as you. If you can do these things, you will become one of the 7 or 8% of people who achieve their New Year's resolutions and anything else you set your sights on. That's it. Happy New Year. And if you're listening to this in June, July, or November, it doesn't matter. Happy Monday. Happy first of the month. Happy morning. It is always time for a fresh start. And by following these 6 keys laid out in this episode, you can set better goals and be the person who finishes strong and achieves what they set out for. That is change made easy. If you're working on changing your diet, exercise, or other habits around food and fitness, you have to check out My Body Tutor. My Body Tutor is the world's leading nutrition coaching platform that helps people find their healthy weight and keep it forever through sustainable habit change. And you know, as a listener of this show, that when it comes to creating change, it's all about sustainability and consistency. And when it comes to diet, exercise, and getting in shape, My Body Tutor solves the problem of consistency through one-on-one coaching, customized plans, and daily accountability. And as a bonus for you, they're offering $50 off your first month. But what really makes My Body Tutor so unique is they offer daily accountability with a real human coach. And I know because I'm one of them. I have been working with My Body Tutor since 2020. There's so much misinformation, so much nonsense out there in the health and wellness space, but not with My Body Tutor. My Body Tutor is the real deal. They are changing lives. I've seen it, I've been a part of it, and I'm honored to continue to grow with them. And you don't have to take my word for it. Check out mybodytutor.com, where you will see hundreds of testimonials and reviews. And as a special bonus, for listeners of this show, you will get $50 off your first month. Just click the link in the show notes or go to mybodytutor.com and tell them Paul from Change Made Easy sent you in your intake questionnaire, and you'll automatically get a huge discount. And remember, they offer a money-back, risk-free guarantee, so this is a no-brainer for you. And no joke, I really do work for them. So if you want to work with me personally, ask for Paul as your tutor. Once again, tell them Paul from Change Made Easy sent you for $50 off your first month. Start with no risk and see how the power of a coach with daily accountability can literally change your life.